In Africa, South Africa's mobile phone giant MTN has been investigated in Nigeria for allegedly repatriating $13.97 billion illegally, according to reports by many news outlets. It says the Nigeria's central bank has suspended MTN's dividend payments until further notice. The phone company has already been in trouble in the country in the last year. It was fined $5.2 billion for failing to disconnect unregistered SIM cards. But after negotiations, MTN agreed in June to pay $1.7 billion to the Nigerian Communications Commission for the transgression. Let's get some insights into this now. I've been joined by Channels TV's business editor, Bosun Omofaye, who's been following the story. Bosun.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good afternoon. What do we understand by this? I mean, illegally repatriating funds, you said that's not anything new.
No, it is not anything new. Again, it's around the world, you find companies that are headquartered somewhere, perhaps in the US, doing business in Ireland, doing business in Britain, or headquartered in Britain, doing business in Africa. Sometimes you find these practices in some organizations trying to either evade tax or try to withhold certain payments to the country where they're operating because the parent company is elsewhere. For financial regulators, regulators, whether from the stock market or from or central banks, say, look, we're trying to investigate, or the tax authorities say, look, we're trying to investigate whether these funds you move in is illegally, is nothing really new. So it's basically, remember, MTN is headquartered in South Africa. It's a South African company. It's not listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's doing business in Nigeria. Nigeria is its biggest market. Therefore, in terms of sales of our telecom services, therefore, it is appropriate for the Nigerian authorities to say, look, if we find out or smell or perceive that some funds have been moved out illegally over a period of time. But don't forget there's a liberalization of free entry, free exit, whether it is portfolio or direct investment. So you can move money in, do business in any country or any jurisdiction, and move money out. However, moving money in could be illegal, and moving funds out could also be illegal. You can do what you call capital importation, that is not registered, that is illegal, that doesn't go through the proper channel. That could be illegal into an economy. And you can also move funds out as an organization, as a company, back to your home country or to anywhere else in the world, offshore, whatever, shady accounts, whatever, and that could also be illegal. So it's not only repatriating funds back out of the country that could be illegal, capital importation could also be illegal. So it has to be registered if it's coming through buying bonds or treasury bills or buying stocks or buying into pension funds, or you're going into direct investment. So either entry or exit, inflows or outflows, had to be legal at every point in time as per the regulations of a particular country.
I'm thinking that this is probably illegal, to the Nigerian government because MTN is under investigation. As you said, there are countries that have been repatriating funds from Nigeria. So could that possibly be?
No, I think the previous issue, as far as the unregistered SIM card, had been concluded. But as far as Nigeria is concerned, companies with parent holding companies outside Nigeria and in every jurisdiction always come under second level or layer of investigation, oversight, and periscope, if you want to put it that way. Again, because the board of directors, basically the owners, whatever, are sitting in another country. Whether it is the oil sector, whether it's in construction, you have Julius Berger, for example, with a parent holding company in Germany, you're doing business in Nigeria. Whether it is Total or Shell or Mobil, whatever, there's always that little eye about. For example, when they pay dividend at the end of the year, how is the dividend paid by MTN or paid by any other international company doing business? How is it repatriated back to the home country? Nigerian authorities, which includes first the central bank, if it's listed on the stock exchange, the SEC would like to know. The Financial Reporting Council would like to know. The NOTAP would also have to know. That these are agencies of the government that would like to find out that you're not moving funds illegally and trying to short-circuit the system in which perhaps you're not paying tax or tax due on those money you're taking out. For example, if you have a company owned 50, 60% by a foreign company sitting in the US or anywhere else in the world, in China, and you pay dividend of $1 billion, for example, 60% of that is going back. That's about $600 million. The question is, have you paid the relevant tax on that, or you're being dodgy about it? You're trying not to pay that tax, move the money out, and look at the figure being alleged. That's quite huge.
It is. Really.
So we haven't. What the central bank has said so far was, look, we're stopping this dividend payment. And that tells me, from my experience as a market, that look, it looks like perhaps the dividends being taken out of Nigeria over a period of time hadn't been fully accounted for, or certain taxes, government tax, haven't been paid on them. I don't have the facts of that. The central bank hasn't fully disclosed. By now, I think the forensic folks from the banking inspection in the central bank will be going through all the banks and try to find out who's been moving this money. Again, these are dollars.
Very quickly, Bosun, the CBN has suspended MTN's dividend payments until further notice. How is this affecting them?
The money is just going to sit in the account. The money is not going anywhere. But of course, this dividend means that those who are supposed to get these dividends, whether they are shareholders of MTN South Africa or the parent companies, whether in London or wherever, would have to wait until there's a clearance. The central bank would want to quickly find out what has been going on for months, years, whatever period. Eventually, if there is no laws broken, then they're going to find it. Don't forget, recently there was an issue of a telecom giant sitting in the US but doing business in Ireland, and found out that, yes, they've been trying to short-circuit the system. So the Irish authorities are putting billions of dollars in fines because, look, you'll be repatriating money out of my country, you've got to pay. So it's something that is happening everywhere, and it's not something that should be considered as anti-investment on the Nigerian government side. You just have to be sure that, yes, the guy who's doing business pay the right tax.
Bosun, thank you so much for breaking down the facts and the figures for us on Network Africa.